Hello, hello.
Hey. How y'all doing today?
It's about 1,000,000 degrees in here right now.
I hear that it's hot down here.
It is freaking hot in this room. It's 100 degree. Well, it says it's 90, but feels like 100 outside right now, and this room is baking right now. So
Yeah, for some reason I set my office up in the hottest room in our house.
me too. It's like nobody else wanted to use it. That's why I'm in here, I guess. So now,
Well, what's weird, our bedroom is the room right through the wall here, and that's the coldest room in the house. So you would figure this one would be at least halfway close, but it ain't.
look at Steve, 63 in New York.
I wish. We might see that in December.
It literally says right now it's 90 degrees. It feels like 100 and 53% humidity.
DC is showing 74.
Let's see, went to Ian's Monday and sat in the coffee room all morning watching it rain. Well, you couldn't have picked a better day to go visit Ian on a rainy day. 66 in Ontario. Well, it is it's just been brutal, and it's not even the hottest it's going to be this week yet. It's supposed to get up to triple digits this week. So
Yeah, I think our next 3 days are 105 to 107.
95 feels like 110 in Minnesota. Had him captive for hours.
Let's see what mine's showing right now. 101. I'm not 100% sure about that 118, but I know it's up there.
It wouldn't surprise me any. I'll tell you what, it was enough. It was warm enough in here that I was debating whether or not to even come on live because I didn't feel like baking in this room for 2 hours tonight. So
Yeah, put another fan on you, huh?
yeah, I've got 88 feels like 102. There you go. That's what we got here too.
I don't even have the stream pulled up on the other window here.
102 Friday, 105 Saturday. Of course, it'll be the hottest day of the week when I have a chance to work my bees.
I don't have another day off till Sunday.
Yeah, I might have to get another small AC unit. But I don't know if it's going to do any good. I mean, I've got a big AC unit outside that can't keep up with it. So, fan behind a 20-pound bucket of ice, man. I know it's got to be something. It's miserable in here. But so I mean, as far as the bees, been outside a little bit, in them a little bit. Looks like all the queens that I put out were released. Now, whether they're alive or not, totally different story. Don't know. Probably not. Some of them didn't.
Hadn't had a chance to go in and check any eggs or anything yet.
No, I just went through and pulled the queen cages out to make sure they were out of there, and that was it. So they might all be dead, man. If I was a bee, I wouldn't be doing shit right now. I'd be chilling.
I passed by mine. I mean, they bearding a little bit, but not real bad. But they still seem active and full. Now, what they gather in here, I have no idea because we still haven't had any rain. And I mean, we've been under burn ban for a while. Everybody's yards done turned brown. Pretty much everything's dead.
I don't even know when it's supposed to kind of halfway sort of think about raining around here. Looks like it's going to be a minute. I mean, yeah, on the long range forecast, it's not showing the possibility of rain till September 1st.
I think we're supposed to have a small chance next week, but every time in the past couple months it says we got a small chance it just disappears. I think we got one chance next week with 30% and one with 40.
Yeah, I mean,
they don't know what's going on tomorrow, much less next week.
Yeah, no, we're talking about a week and a half out that they're talking about it. It might rain. It'll change 5 times before then. So, yeah, it's no telling. It is very warm. I've never prayed so much for a hurricane in my life.
At least some rain and some wind to cool it down anyway.
Oh, yeah. Not even a breeze. It's just terrible.
Now, I ain't gonna lie. Yesterday at work, we got a nice little breeze. I actually had to shut my crane down for a little bit. Let's see if I can pull it up here.
Wait a minute, hold on. What Honeybee Kama said? He put a pop-up tent over his unit during the day and said it dropped the inside temperature by 6 degrees.
This is what I got to ride through yesterday. 32.9 mile an hour winds at work. That's fun with 200 foot of boom stuck out there shaking you around.
And any weight on it is like swing around. Yeah, it's no fun right now out there. And the beetles are still going crazy. I'm in my deeps doing pretty good as far as catching them with the Swiffers, but the smaller ones are harder to do. Let's see.
Yeah, Mark, he's supposed to work early in the morning or late in the evening, not the hottest part of the day.
He says it was 68 Fahrenheit here today, and I had the AC on high all the way home in the truck.
You need to come down to South Louisiana for a day or two.
He would melt. It'd be a puddle of bread on the way back. Let's see. Suffer bread. That's what Russell says. That's funny. Well, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and invite in, and that way, if we cut it short because of this heat tonight.
You ready for me to drop it?
Yeah, go ahead and drop it. Well,
you can pin it up.
As soon as we get another comment when I gets out from under the heart here. We'll pin it up.
I don't know why the heck they put that little heart in there. I mean, it's right in the way.
I mean, you think they would put that on the bottom like everybody else does, with the little emojis and all that. There we go.
There you go. Now you can get it. Yeah, like you said, I mean, it just depends on how we do tonight, what time we finish, because I do have to get up even earlier right now. This other plant that I'm going to still. By the time I leave here, get to work, get in the plant, in the crane, we start at 5:30.
Right. Hey, at this point, I would take the night shift because it would probably be still a little bit cooler than the
Not
day
by
shift.
much, but they ain't even doing a night shift on this job right now. Hey there, Shane.
Swiffer sheets, I typically don't scrub them with the wire brush because I find the bees do a good job trying to get them out of there, and that usually naps them up pretty good. That's only one thing. I start at 5:30 a.m. Let's see. I messed around with the settings and it went away.
Well, let us know how you did that, DC.
He probably don't remember. He said he was messing around with them and they just went away.
I don't know. I hit a key on my board one day because while you're on the window, you can hit M to mute the YouTube window. Hit M again and it comes off, but you can press other keys and it does stuff. Some reason, all of a sudden, all the messages in the chat were all different colors, and I still don't know how I got that taken off. But I finally hit another button somewhere and that came out.
I did the same and it's gone. All right, so you guys got to let us know the secret on that one. Pop out chat. I don't know. It's probably like in the YouTube type of setting. Well, there's Frank. Frank,
I'm on a bee ration right now. I haven't seen a bee for like hours.
yeah, Universal.
Yeah.
I hear the music.
Actually, no. This is what's the ocean one? Ocean Aquarium. What's this? What are we? SeaWorld? We're SeaWorld. What's the other place?
Thought it could have been the that Disney one where the kid was eaten by the crocodile or by the alligator. You know,
these places actually closed down at like 8 o'clock now, and they don't even see fireworks anymore. I guess I don't know. It's a different world.
SeaWorld closes at 8. It's 8:30 right now.
Yeah, there's everything's closed down and everybody's walking out. There was a couple of like stragglers just hanging out and enjoying the scenery.
That would be you then, huh?
Yes. Actually, I'm exhausted. I think it's easier to work in a bee yard.
It's probably 1,000,000 degrees down there for sure.
Yep, hasn't rained either. You guys had all those storms, and yeah, we haven't had any of that. They got
rain down here.
They got some kind of penguin house. We went in there. I was freezing to death. I couldn't believe it.
I'd have been in there all day. Me and those penguins would have been friends by the end of the day.
I was numb. I was only there a couple minutes. I was numb.
Yeah. DC says you go on vacation to rest and you work harder than when you're at home.
That's what I tell Renee. At halftime when I'm off, I got to go back to work to get a break.
Yeah, and the wife's got this schedule. She's like whipping me up. Get up. We got to get there. It's like, oh, my land.
That's what Brad says. The penguin house, my kind of attraction. That's right. Just being there chilling. I have me a cold drink, and me and the penguins would be hanging out.
But I have not seen a bee all day. There's not a whole lot of flowers either.
My wife stays half the day with the dolphins. be in there in shorts. That's right. I'd come out looking like an ice cube. I'd be stuck in that house. Got the background music. Did you watch the whale show and all that stuff?
Yeah, there's some dolphins. We found out that what's her name? What's this whale? The fancy whale. Shamu apparently had many generations that were called Shamu, and they no longer call it Shamu.
What do they call it now?
What is it? What do they call it now? Yep. Orca.
Just orca.
Yeah. So I guess it's like our queens. You never know who's in there anymore.
There you go. ShamWow.
ShamWow.
It's the ShamWow guy.
But I was asking one of the penguins, I says, over in California, they call these things fish. Would you eat a honeybee? And he's like, are you crazy? So I don't know. I'm convinced that California's got it all wrong.
Because they call them fish out in California.
Yeah. And the penguins definitely said they're not going to eat no honeybees.
You must have been all the way in the park.
Buried over at Sesame Place, whatever that is. I guess Sesame Street is part of this place.
It's part of. I wonder if some bigger company bought them out.
I'm sure if you wanted, you could have a Walker Bee Ranch over here.
Yeah, I think I got about 10 or 11, maybe 12 left I got to put together.
What, you're assembling hives?
Yeah, those are all from a desk. Well, desk, and I got some that's going to be hanging on the wall.
How big is this desk going to be?
Well, the main part's going to be almost 4x8 plus a short return coming off one side and then a longer return off the other side.
You got more boxes there for your desk than some people have in their apiaries.
Just for the main desk, it's going to be 15 boxes under it.
They do have an IKEA. You don't have to go to Man Lake.
Yeah, but it won't look as good. Plus, I got a big sheet of maple back there, too, that's going to be the top of the desk.
I saw a guy actually making a fish aquarium out of an IKEA glass shelf. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, let's see. Got a few.
Yeah, that.
Holy cow!
All the way around to the side of you over there too.
Mm-hmm.
I like the school days with the little lockers.
Well, a lot of them. Well, like I said, it's going to take 15 under the desk. Then I got the 2 small returns, and then I got a bunch of mediums that are going to hang on the wall as shelves to put all the honey and different stuff in.
That'll take the whole wall.
Morgan said he got one more than this in his whole apiary.
Just keep the swarm lure away, otherwise you're going to have bees in there.
Well, I tell you one thing. I realized again why I always buy my boxes already assembled. I bought all these unassembled. That way, I could put more in a box and shipping.
Right.
Then I started putting them together. I won't do that again. I'll pay that couple extra dollars per box to have them put it together and ship it to me already ready to go.
Hey, Frank, tell that lady on the loudspeaker to keep it down. We're trying to have a live stream.
Hey, Bob says, tell that lady to shut up. We're on a live stream.
What?
Bob says, tell that lady to shut up. We're on a live stream. He knows you now. There you go. Yeah, right there. On the live.
Leaving the park.
She's on vacation. We're not doing that live.
Let's see.
I'm wondering if you could keep your frames in them boxes there, Lee, and just have them all stacked up all around your room.
Well, what I'm going to do on the top of the desk, I'm putting 3 shallow boxes to put my monitors up on top of. and I'm going to put frames in those boxes with glass covers in them. That way you can look down under the monitor and see the frames in the box.
Keep them there all winter long, ready for the season.
Nah, that's just for the desk.
Oh, it's just for show.
Yep.
Hey, Philip.
Yeah, I see everybody's getting ready for the winter, and I thought maybe instead of the crystals, could we use a UV light? Make like a honeycomb shape, like a igloo shape stack of our hives all around us in a circle. Put UV lights down the center.
Hey, Philip's at Six Flags over Texas right now.
Really?
It's like a desert. This is my mother-in-law's backyard. She didn't water this sprinkler. Look at that dirt backyard. Well, more like Arizona.
Looks like my yard too.
Yeah,
Like
everything's dried out in the south right now.
Look at the crap on the ground there.
Dang.
That's beautiful.
How long has it been since y'all had rain?
Oh gosh, it's been a couple of months at least. Yeah, but there's number 18.
Don't complain too much. Don't complain too much if you're like California and have floods.
Hey, send them on. You see
Yeah,
that?
mudslide. Yeah, I just saw your video just when Bob came on. And I said, yeah, go forget Bob. I'll watch your video.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that I caught a fan this late.
Tell him, remember that next time he swings by, huh, Bob?
That's why I gave you extra 5 minutes to watch that video before we started.
I've been really lazy about taking them down this year, so paid off. The laziness paid off again.
Hey, that's a good thing, man. If they're thriving in there, just let them thrive, and then pull them down, swap them out, put it back. You can keep the critters out of them. It was 12 minutes.
That's Canadian time, though.
Yeah, that's 12 Canadian minutes. That's like 5 minutes US.
Philip, I hear you still got the bonfires going up.
The bonfires?
Yeah.
I don't know. I hadn't been following the news. I don't know what's going on.
Not widespread like they reported, only localized.
I know I got a call from my water company down at the farm, said I need to boil the water. So
you got to boil the water down there?
Yeah, it's been tasting pretty bad since the drought. But they finally, I guess, somebody came in and tested it. I've been drinking it.
Now, is that well water?
No, it's a little like a co-op style thing. It's actually a commercial water, but they serve people way out in the country for whatever reason. It's kind of expensive though. It used to be cheap when I first got it. I got it for $25 a month, and they gave me a minimum of 10,000 gallons. But now it costs me $45 a month, and I have to start paying at the first gallon I use. So it's not cheap anymore.
Well, growing up here, our neighborhood by itself, we had 3 public wells in the neighborhood that only supplied this area, and we paid a flat fee of $12 a month, no matter how much you use. Well,
awesome.
Once the local people here that owned those wells got older and sold out to the corporation around here, now we pay per gallon, but still, I think it runs about $19, maybe $20 a month for water here.
Now you're starting to sound like Charlie, having your own electric coming just for you.
Our water in Capel is tied in with the trash pickup and all that stuff. And if you don't use any water, they're going to charge you $75 a month.
Right. I've got a well, but it doesn't have a pump on it. It's just in that little brick building out there. That's a pump house. It does have a well in it that's just got a board over top of it. It doesn't even have a pump or anything going down into it.
I got a pump well in the backyard, one of the old hand pumps.
Does it work?
Yeah, I hand drilled that one. I think a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago.
Oh,
It's only about 20 foot deep.
that's a good resource.
But we so low here. I mean, at 8 foot, the water or the ground was getting wet and slushy.
You guys ever hear of being charged for sewage by the amount of water you use?
Yeah, that's pretty common.
Yeah, my grandparents had that. I said, I'd never heard of such a thing. Around here, it was just always, well, not here where I'm at, but where I was living, is a flat fee no matter what.
Yeah, that's a pretty common thing in a lot of areas.
We use $3,500 a month. That's $50 per month for disposal and 70 a month based on intake. I've got I pay for sewage, but that's also trash pickup, right? Sewage
Right.
and trash. But I'm not on city sewer, so I just get water. Like I get public water, but I'm on a septic tank.
Do they pick up the
You
trash?
still have to pay for sewage, Bob, even though you don't use it?
Well, they call it sewage, but it's the water and sewage and trash. But I only get it's like $50 a month usually, less than $50 a month.
Do they pick up your trash?
Yeah, they pick up the trash too.
So that means if your septic ever backs up, they can pay to pump it out, right?
No, I got to do that.
Jeez.
They want the guy next door was trying to hook into the utilities, and they wouldn't let him get a well and septic because they said city sewage and all was available, so he couldn't get it on there, and they wanted to charge him $4,000 to hook to the system. So
that's what they did to me. It was for the infrastructure,
right.
even though it's already been there for years.
So Bob said he has to buy new pumps every 5 years. I don't know what that is.
Drill a shallow well and such.
He's gonna have to get a pump like you, Lee, a hand pump.
Well, I mean, we're so low here. I mean, from the Amite River, I might be a half a mile away.
Yeah.
So you're almost artesian, right? You said?
I doubt that. It ain't no nice, clean spring water here. I mean, once it runs through the ground, yeah, it's clean here, but I don't drink it out of that hand well. That would just be an emergency.
But you could use it to irrigate your lawn and stuff, probably.
Probably. I mean, to me, it would be for emergency. If you had to, yeah, you could boil it.
Grammy, do a hand drill like Lee was talking. That's it. Just go ahead and do it.
I don't know.
Yeah, it depends on your soil.
Grammy, she's on a little bit of a hill right there where she's at. So most of those the old style pitcher pumps, they only reach about 25 foot for pumping it up.
And some of these people have rock and granite, so you're pounding all the way through.
Do a system drainage from the roof.
Yeah, my farm has an old well on it, but it's just probably about 40 feet deep. It's just an old brick line well. I don't know. You guys might have saw on the news where people fell into a cistern and drowned in Texas, or not drowned. They got poisoned by the gases in there.
The gases, yeah. What 3 of them went in for a dog?
Yeah, well, one went in for a dog, and then the other 2 went in for the first guy, or the second one went in the first one, the third one went in for the second one.
Here in South Jersey, we were known for cesspools. They're hand-dug, brick-lined holes that you used to put your sewage in, and nobody knows they're there because they go to city water, city sewer, and then years later, somebody falls in.
Yeah, I have a cistern on my place too. It's shallow, but it's like 8-10 feet around. It's not narrow like the one that those people fell in. But the well I have is narrow like that, but it's like 30 feet down to the water in it.
Your cistern's concrete lined top, bottom, side, right?
No, it's brick also. It bells out. It's got a top that's about 4 foot diameter, and then it bells out to like 10 or 12 foot diameter. I didn't think it was there. My neighbor, the old man down the street, told me there was a cistern there, and I said, "Yeah, I know, that's a well." And he goes, "No, it's a cistern there." And I said, "Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about, old man." And he started telling me where it was, and I walked all over that place, and I was like, I'm gonna go look. I walked. He was right where he said it was. You gotta believe these
No,
old.
that was for storing water, right?
Yeah, the system for storing water, and the well for kind of getting groundwater. That well had water in it, but I think this last summer, I think it went dry. I threw you couldn't see down in it, but I threw a rock, and it sounded like it just hit solid. Usually, you could hear water down there. I could see water about 30 feet down most of the time.
You know, it always amazed me how people have sewage and wells on the same property. Don't they mix?
Too close, but
I was trying to look at the elevation
Water's
here.
upstream.
Basically, my backyard is at 15 or 13 foot.
really, wow, that is low. Bullets
How
run.
do you find that out?
Google Earth Pro.
Google Earth.
So I guess you ain't got no basement, Lee.
Nope. Ain't nobody around here got basements.
And that tells you how deep the water is, Google Earth Pro.
Well, no, it shows what my elevation is on the map.
This elevation just compared to sea level is only 15, 13 or 15. My sea level is about 455 to 500, depending on where you are.
Let me see.
I would zoom back in. Well, if I can find where I live now. Wrong road.
Geological survey.
I bet you guys have a lot of problems with you have field lines, Lee?
Nah, it goes straight into a 1,000-gallon septic tank, and then it runs into the canals.
Really?
Let's see.
So
This is my place. This is
yours
my
is open
small
sewage?
place. Basically, it's considered. Well, we got a septic tank with the Modad pump, and then they run into the canals around here. Is how they do them.
Wow.
So you can see it floating down the stream?
Not really. It's kind of, I guess, disintegrated by then. But this is my place here. And if I
was going to say you can tell when the neighbors are sick.
Yeah. I don't know how good you can see the bottom right of the screen, right under Google Earth, right under the G. It shows the feet, the elevation. Like, say my front yard is at 14, and it goes 13, 12, 11, 10. And then we got a canal that runs right through here, kind of a little S curve.
Well, I'm going to let you all go. I got to get back on the road.
All right, brother.
Better listen to the boss, Frank.
Yep. Take care. Bye.
Have a good one.
See you later.
It says my current elevation is 322 feet.
You're a lot higher than I am. Which you got to think, in 2016, when all that rain come through Louisiana, if I was still sitting in my desk right now, the water would be right above, kind of about my breastbone, right above my stomach, below my chest, right at my sternum. And this end of the house where I'm at, it's probably 5.5 foot off the ground, and it was still that deep inside.
Let me see. There's Chris. Hey, Chris.
Hello, gentlemen and
How you
ladies.
What's going on?
Just getting back, looking at my girls outside before it got really dark out. So
It's very warm in our region.
yeah, the bees let you know that, right?
Oh yeah, they're all hanging out on the outside.
It's only 99 degrees here.
Yeah, with a heat index of 9,000.
Right?
Let me see what that is.
Our heat index is showing down to 115 now.
Mars is only 104.
Only, huh?
Only 100. That's actually cool for this time. It's been like 110 this time of day. It's amazing that it's below 100 and the sun's not down yet.
So what I missed, you guys were talking about something. I just, like I said, popped in. So
We were talking about Brad, and he just hopped in too. So now we can't talk about him anymore.
They're talking about the weather mostly,
That's
Mr.
it.
Smart Powell.
and then wells and cisterns.
no
I have
bee
big
stuff,
notes. No bee stuff.
Not much bees to talk about. They're all
I'll
hot.
say it's about that time of the year. I mean, you just kind of at a standstill. At least down here we are.
These guys all claim it's too hot to work bees. I don't understand that. I just
That too.
I worked mine on Sunday. It was still 78 degrees.
Brian's showing us 111 heat index.
I treated
I'm
mine
waiting for a
for.
little bit warmer weather. I can harvest honey.
I traded my mites for fleas this morning, since we're not allowed to say the other thing.
You traded your mites for fleas.
You said it.
You said that.
I said I traded my bees for fleas. You're the one that said the M word, Brad. You stepped up
No,
already.
you said you treated your mites for bees, Phil.
Did I say that?
I thought I heard the M
Yeah, you
word.
roll
in
it
there.
back.
Dang it.
You did.
Roll that. Hey, don't roll
Yeah.
that back.
Yeah, Russell. No, I haven't got my honey pulled yet. Maybe 1,000 pounds only.
If we put
So
Charlie
there's
on
quite
here,
a bit yet to go.
I just want Charlie to get on here and tell us if he's got any yet.
There you go, Phil. Todd said it's not Monday. You can say the M word.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
just a $5 donation to the M jar. Hey, long time no see, Alex.
Hey there, Alex. How you doing?
Hey, Alex.
See, everybody's popping in tonight.
Got the loop.
Got a little echo there.
I'm muted.
Rain.
I like hearing myself 3 times.
That's a good singer that's following me up there.
So far, right now, it's sounding pretty good. I don't hear nothing.
Well, he's muted right now.
Oh, I didn't even see that down there.
This room is hotter than Canada right now.
So am I the cause of the loop?
You were.
That's
You were,
weird.
you were.
YouTube was muted.
Still an echo.
I
Still a little bit of an echo right now.
the luckiest man.
Let's sing Rhapsody song. We're all here.
Yeah. I see a little silhouette of a man.
Got a moose.
Got a moose. Got a moose. Can you do the fandango?
Very frightening.
Brad's in Canada.
Galileo.
He's going to say they got a moose. They got a moose.
But Lee's the only one that looks like Freddie Mercury.
I still don't see where y'all getting that from.
Okay. Now,
The only one that I halfway seen, somebody said it's when I didn't have my goatee, just my mustache.
Yeah, that's true.
That is true. Now I got to look up.
No, yeah. Bringing it up.
I know you're probably pulling up that swarm that I had. That's when everybody said it.
All right. I got to go to your channel. Go to your videos. I'm sure you have it as a thumbnail somewhere.
I got
There you go,
it.
Phil.
I got it right here.
All right, go ahead, show it. Tell me he doesn't look like Freddie Mercury.
All right.
Get the right buttons here.
Oh, no, I don't see it yet.
Freddie.
No kidding, right?
We are the champions.
Mama, I killed a man.
I just don't see.
You just don't see it.
You don't see it, or you don't want to see it.
A little bit of both.
You could
Cause and
go,
effect,
you
Alex,
could
cause
be
and
like at the beach at one of those shows that does the you could just do a lip sync impersonation and be a be that guy, you know.
Oh yeah.
See, even Brian
You
says
could
it.
have a whole
Freddie.
channel of that.
I know.
Put on some Mark Martel and just lip sync to that.
Bob did send me one of those. What was that? Revive or Revive or something like that app you had?
That's the same one I sent where I was taking pictures and
Yeah. He sent me a picture. Basically, it'll animate a still picture, and he had one of the Queen songs. I forget which one it was, playing in the background, and it made my mouth move to the words of the music.
That's funny.
apparently I missed a phone call.
What you trying to say there, Dan? I got a little extra weight.
I wasn't gonna say nothing.
I ain't gonna lie. I do have a little extra right now. I need to get rid of it.
I think we all do.
Let's see.
Yeah, so do I.
A little bit extra on me.
I have more than a little bit extra.
So, you guys ever get random text messages?
Nope, don't have a cell phone, so
Who said that? Alex, you don't have a
Alex.
cell phone?
nope.
All right.
Dang.
My hero.
Living off the grid.
Yeah,
So-
there you go. Thank you, Tim and Hannah. It was just the camera that's doing it.
You wouldn't believe it.
Yeah, that's
You
it.
wouldn't believe it. So this is a real text I got. Hey, do you want to come over for dinner next weekend? I'm going to make a chicken. I was like, LOL, who is this? I'm Maggie. Isn't this my friend Rose who moved to Florida from South Carolina? No, ma'am. This is Bob Walker.
I'll still come over for chicken dinner.
Is that not Rose? Is that not Rose's phone number? Nope. I've
No,
had
you
this
just-
number for several years, so I have to say no. Oh, I
just
didn't
say,
mean to
yeah.
bother you, but I lost some contact recently. I think I sent the wrong number. I apologize for any inconvenience this may cause. Hope you don't mind. I'm like, so when you
just say-
realize it's not the person, we'll just
You
keep
don't-
chatting. We're just going to keep
you
sending
just
text
say,
back.
Rose and I will be over. What time should we show up?
Yeah.
You know,
Sure.
No kidding.
and is Rose single?
Yeah,
Like,
send me your
you know.
address. Well,
Yeah.
considering it's Rose and Martha, probably not youngsters. Probably not.
Okay, now that you said that, it reminded me.
Uh-oh.
I got one here a while back. I
Let's
hate
see it.
how these screens do. Faith, I read it says, "Do you have time tomorrow? Let's have dinner together." I didn't answer. So they text back again, "What are you doing and why haven't you responded to my messages in so long?" Again, I don't answer. "Why have you been silent? Is there something wrong? I'm worried about you. Please send me a message back." Well, I pulled the number up and it's a California number. So I said, "Nah, I don't answer telephone calls or text messages from numbers I don't know."
You probably just ruined somebody's relationship over a wrong phone number.
Right?
Like somebody's just probably getting stalked now, or
Dial the one number off.
So all 64 people in the chat need to go to show up for Rose's chicken
Dinner.
dinner. Wait a minute, you only made one chicken? We got 64 people coming.
We're all,
Yeah.
all our names are Rose.
Just the reaction would be priceless.
Rent a party bus and everybody show up at the same time.
I'm looking for that, Todd. I done missed it.
Yep. Steve says, be
Okay, here it is.
careful,
It's
fam.
area code 949.
Yeah, unfortunately, in my job, I've got a lot of people from California, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Florida, you name it. So I have to answer all those calls.
They're real fun when they say, "Hey, I'm calling for my mother who's down in South Carolina. I need you to go by and check her house out for bugs and then call me back so I can send you the payment or whatever." It's like, okay. And then you go and check it out. Then you can't get them back on the phone to give them the price.
By the way, I look at it, if it's important, they'll leave a message saying who they are, what they want, or they'll send a text message. "Hey, is this so-and-so's number still?"
There was a local radio or TV personality here, did sports or something, but he thought he was Instagram and private Instagram message to his wife, and it was, I can't even say what it said on here, but he basically said, I'm going to stop and get some chicken. I want you to wash your ass because when I get home, I'm going to eat something. And it went out over
Beep.
Instagram.
Beep, beep,
Over
beep, beep,
Instagram.
And then he got out, when he figured out what happened, he jumped on there and said somebody hacked his account.
Good answer.
Good.
Yeah, like
answer.
I am
Steve here-
convinced.
like Steve said here, I've heard too. If you answer certain numbers back somehow by you sending them a text back, it gives them a direct link to your phone too.
They do that on Marketplace if you're trying to sell something on Marketplace. Because when I had the Queens up there, someone sent me a thing. Hey, I need to make sure this is a real person. Can I call you? I'm like, sure, you can call me, right? And then they're like, I'm gonna send you a link, and I'm like, no.
Oh, come on, Bob! You didn't want to click another link?
No, not there.
I had that on Craigslist. I was trying to sell something, and they replied to my message and said, I want to buy that, but I want to make sure that it's really you selling it. And they put a link on there. And
Right.
I just went and Googled that. And yeah, it gives them full control of your account if you click that link. They can do whatever they want to with it.
Even responding notifies them they have an active number. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got my
I
mom
think
all
it's
the
something
time.
when you
I
send
tell
them
my
that
mom
code.
don't answer nothing unless she checks with me to see if we know who it is or not.
Yeah, they'll say, I'm going to send you a code. And what they're doing is they're sending a code to you from your Google or to you as a notification. And then when you send them that, you're giving them that code number that allows them to access your Google account. Nope, not happening.
Well, my mom's always getting emails from a Walmart thing saying, hey, your shipment's ready to go. Verify the information.
Yep.
Yeah,
I get those too.
I said, do not click that.
There will be a special place in hell for those people.
Yep.
My mom's clicked those too many times. All her, she's locked out of every account she has.
Let me see. Yeah, they'll. We already went through that once this year with my YouTube channel. Ain't happening again.
Bob who?
Right. I forget what even the name of the website my YouTube channel was after that. It was some crazy.
Oh, you had another.
crazy.
What was that?
I can't
It
remember.
wasn't Pretty Ricky or whatever his name was. It wasn't that guy.
Oh, Pretty Andy.
Pretty Andy. Wasn't Pretty Andy and his brown starfish.
That might have been who hacked you.
Possible.
Well, I tell you right now, my bees haven't slowed down putting new brood in the honeycomb.
Oh, shoot. Chris is going to talk bees now. Good job, Chris.
That's right.
Gee,
Yeah.
what you
I
talking
actually
about?
went to my hives. I went to mine Sunday because I had to check one because I didn't know if it was queen or not. So I went to my biggest hive to see how they were doing and took out a frame of brood. Actually, it was a frame of larvae and stuck it in one that I checked, and it was completely full. You know how they usually put the honey around the corners? There was no honey in the whole thing. It was all filled with larvae, both sides. So they're still laying pretty good for me.
Okay.
Yeah, they're laying. There's just not a lot of extra resources in there.
Oh, I give it to them.
I've been putting feed out for them too.
Chris, I don't
Well, I
remember
got a
where
lot of
you're
flowers
located.
around me still. What was that?
I don't remember where you're located.
I'm an hour and 25 minutes south of Bob, South Carolina.
Okay.
Well,
Basically on the coast where the water is.
Ed
Yeah.
looks like he's trying to come in, but I just see a white Ed, son of one thing.
Yeah, just a
there.
white screen.
There's Robert. Hey, Robert.
How you doing tonight?
But our goldenrods,
connection.
You out in the honey house?
Yeah, I was actually gonna talk to or show Brad the difference between. I went back out. I told you about the harvest for the bees on the soybeans,
Oh yeah.
and I went back out and I harvested the additional. I got only 8 supers off of the ones in the woods, and off of 20 in the woods, and I got 16 off of the 40 or the other 20 out in the bean field. So I got to get them out of the woods. After, I mean, it just keeps happening over and over.
Sorry,
Yeah.
the numbers got muddled for me. I didn't really follow that. I apologize.
It's okay. We were talking about the other day about the difference between the bees in the woods versus
Yeah.
the bees out in the bean field.
Yeah, I recall.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I went back out to do another harvest because they filled up the supers I put out there for them to dry out, and they filled them up. But only out of the 20 in the woods, only 8 supers got filled, and out of the 20 that are on the side of the bean field, 16 got filled.
Oh, okay.
So I need to get those bees out of the woods because this is the second time this year this has happened to me.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a good location.
I did have somebody yesterday offer me. They came over and they see me over here extracting honey, and they stopped by and they offered me to go put the bees out on their 40 acres, which is just up the road. So I probably was just going to do that.
What's up there? More beans?
No, it's actually more fields. They're not crop fields. They're just woods and open fields. Maybe some hay fields.
You get some nice wildflower out of there.
Yeah, I mean there's another gentleman just up the road about 2 miles that had 12 hives, and he pulled 300 pounds off those 12 hives in into May and another 300 at the end of July. That's as much as I pulled off of those ones in the more than what I pulled off of the 20 all season in the woods. So it's definitely time. I only got an average this year between all 40 hives of about 25 pounds of super. However, like we
Yikes.
talked, the or per hive total, not off each. That's all I got. 25 pounds per hive. But my biggest mistake was I pulled late and I had the queen excluders. I didn't put queen excluders. And what I figured out this year was everybody calls them honey excluders, but I've renamed them to brood excluders because my entire my deep and all my supers are full of brood. No honey.
Yeah, that's what happened to
solid
us.
brood.
Yep.
So yeah, so I'm officially from now on, I'm putting brood excluders on all my hives.
Yeah, that whole honey excluder thing. My opinion, that's what people just say that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I didn't have no problem going for the bees to go through the queen excluders after they had some actual drawn comb above it.
It is a comb excluder that's coming through.
Yeah, if you don't have comb, they didn't want to go through it at all and start nothing. But other than that,
You
the
read
only
some-
thing I run queen excluders on is comb honey. Other
You
than
read
that, I
some-
don't use
some
queen
Sealy-
excluders no more.
You read some Sealy about what goes on in the hive. You see how many bees that nectar passes through before it gets stored. Those bees are smart enough not to squeeze through that excluder. They pass it. I'm sure of it. Why would they don't travel? The bee that brings it in stops very close inside the door and passes it to another bee, and that bee passes it to another one, and that bee passes it to another one. So that bee that brings that forager does not deposit that in the cell at all. I can't remember how many bees Sealy said that it took. It was a lot. It was like 3 or 4 or 5 bees before it got in the cell.
I put honey supers on mine over to clean it up, and they still put it.
Breaking
Your
up,
sound's
Philip.
cutting out.
Yeah, you're cutting in and out, Phil.
Can't understand you, Phil. It's all broken up.
Sorry. I was saying they'll go through an cover and an excluder before honey. If you ever hear that.
You know, I've seen it so much where I'll put in a queen excluder on a hive and start putting boxes and frames and stuff on it. It's like 2 seconds and those bees are boiling up through that excluder. This whole honey excluder idea is just a wives' tale, I'm sure.
Yeah. Now, like I said, whenever I put it on a newer hive and I'm putting a fresh box on top that don't have no comb and it's just plastic foundation, I found that they didn't really want to go through it too much to go up there. It's like they didn't have no reason to go. But if
They
I put
don't.
some
That's a
comb up
ceiling.
there, they started coming straight through the excluder.
Exactly. That was my first year keeping bees. Was they didn't work for me. I ended up taking them out, but that's because you put a queen excluder when there's nothing on the other side. That's a
There's no reason
ceiling,
for them. Yeah.
and so they don't think, well, we should go through this thing as a ceiling to them. You give them something up there that they want, like brood. They're through there and flash, no problem at all. Some people, if they're, they maybe don't want to pull brood up, they'll spray sugar water on their foundation or something, even some honey, a nectar frame. I find open brood is just the absolute king for baiting. I call it a bait frame over the excluder. But you're rightly, if you put foundation over queen excluder and you say, oh, his queen excluder doesn't work, well, that's because there's nothing up there they want.
Well, I mean, like I said, the only thing I run a queen excluder on is comb honey. Other than that, it's all open. I have a deep box and then I stack mediums on top. If the queen does go up there and lay a few eggs or whatever, by the time it's time to harvest, all those have done hatched out and they've already backfilled.
Backfilled them. Yeah.
Now, I do put paramoth on them for the winter because it was brood in that comb. But other than that, I don't have no problem with it.
I do. If they build a honey bridge, I'll put the excluder on. If they don't,
Your
Can't hear you,
audio is
Philip.
cutting in and
That
out
audio's
real
just
bad,
not
Phil.
working, Phil. And I'm not the kind of guy who's going to say, oh, you have to use, if a person doesn't want to use or if it works without, that's great. That's fine. I'm just saying that this whole idea that bees don't want to go through it, that's nonsense.
I'll be right back. I think StreamYard is the problem. It's picking up my sound. I'll go out and come back in.
All right. Look in your audio.
That's just,
I was going to tell him, but come on.
That's just one of those things I think, Lee, you know enough that you say, well, I don't use a queen excluder for this and that reason, and it works, and that's fine. But you're not saying, no, the damn thing doesn't work, I don't use it, right?
Correct.
Because that's not true. Because you say comb honey. You want to do comb honey? Well, you really want to use queen excluder for that.
Yeah.
But it's just the idea that people telling new beekeepers, particularly, oh, the queen excluder don't work, don't use that. Well, that's not true at all. Every commercial beekeeper in the world pretty much uses queen excluder. Why is that? Because they make money doing it.
Yep.
Right?
Does my sound better? There's no more echo?
I don't hear
That's
echo
right.
Sounds
right
good.
now.
Okay.
Now, Dennis, I'll stack up like 9 medium supers, and then I put a paper plate on the top, and I put about 3/4 of a cup of paramoth in it. But make sure it's a paper plate, not styrofoam. I did mess up the first time and put a styrofoam plate up there and then put that paramoth on it. It's kind of like putting gas in a styrofoam cup. It just melts. And it fell all down through the box.
Hey, Brad, I would tell you, I don't know if somebody's mentioned this to you before, but last year I was watching one of your videos and you were out there opening up your jars, mason jars, when you're putting the sugar water in them. I think it's just on your nukes or something, right?
Yeah,
And,
well,
I was going to suggest I went over to Harbor Freight. I'm using I found the big, I don't know if they're like the half-gallon jars. And anyway, I went to Harbor Freight, and their motor oil, the tool that grips the motor oil filter.
yeah.
I bought one of those, and it's the best thing ever. You can take that jar lid off without any effort.
You talking a band wrench?
No, it's got like a adjustable grip. It looks like a claw.
Oh, it's the one that is a okay, yeah.
And
I
it
actually have a
slides.
band. I have a. It's more made for the kitchen, but it works really well. If they're really stuck, then it works good too. That squeezy thing, I would be really afraid that I would break the jar.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, I've been using it for a year now, and it's one of the
Yeah.
best hacks I've found yet. Like up to that point, for previous like 4 years, I was fighting it by hand, and I already have trigger fingers, so it's not a fun time. And
Yeah.
but I was at the Harbor Freight one day, and I seen that sitting on the shelf, and I'm like, you know what, I got a use for that, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
$6.
Yeah. That's
Best
a good tip. I've been
and
wondering if a little Vaseline on that ring. The rings, it's the ring rusting. The sugar water is corrosive, and the rings are not really that expensive. I can afford to buy a box of rings every now and again. Um, I noticed that putting the jar in a bucket of water does a lot to getting the lid off, even if it's rusted on. But yeah, that kind of a tool really works for that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's actually a great one. And then Bob, I got one for you. So this is it's your honey press, aka
Right.
your fruit press. And I got tired of trying to turn that handle. So what I did is I just tied on a board basically, and now you can turn this thing with one hand.
A little leverage.
Yeah, it's effortless now. Matter of fact, I kind of bent the upper bracket here because I could put too much torque on it. But I was getting tired of trying to crank that thing down, and I looked over and had a board sitting there, and it's actually a vinyl post for a porch, but just the same, tie that thing on, and boom. You have to say Bob's your uncle.
Right.
Bob's your uncle.
If you hook a mule up to the end of that, you can really tighten down on
You
it.
could, Phil. That's right. You could. That would work great.
Hey,
What was
Brad, you see that comment down there?
Yeah, I did. That's a good tip. I have some of that. It would be a matter of me deciding what's more expensive. Vaseline
So
or
Robert, is that
Great Green.
Bob's uncapper that you got there?
Yeah, so I have the same on capper as Bob. It's got the hand crank, just like Bob's. And then I've got the
As
same
much honey
I've
as I got too, so it might be a curse.
Yeah, same 30 frame here that Bob has. The license.
Food grade grease for the extractor. You could probably still use that same stuff.
Hey, Robert,
Yeah, I've got that for the honey house.
do you have a special wall with pictures of Bob all over it too?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
His name's Bob too. It's Robert and Robert. Great minds think alike.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. You know, the funny thing
You guys
was
are the Bobs.
Bob's.
I had
got a
already
meeting with
planned the
Bob
purchase.
in a few minutes.
I'd already planned the purchase for this on capper back in January, and I had it. I'd already talked to the rep about getting it, and they had one left in stock, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll take it." So I ordered it, and then I found out I watched Bob's video the next day, and he's like, I finally pushed the button on my capper, and I just started laughing because.
I bumped your order?
They told me I got the last one, and then Bob could get his for like 2 weeks. I got mine like 2 days later.
It was here in town, but they just didn't deliver it. They was sitting here. I was like, what in the heck? So but hey, they work. It's a little bit of a trick to get them dialed in, but I think once you get it dialed in for your frames, you're good to go on it.
I have an serious issue with mine because, and anybody that's out there that is thinking about getting one. So if you look at these frames, now I bought used frames this year. This to show you like how crappy some of my
not thick enough,
hardly loaded. Anyway, I bought these used and they have wire frames. I don't know if I can see the wire on there.
Yeah.
Yep.
it hangs up every time I put the piece in here. It won't go down inside. So I've got to bypass the ramp and put it right down into the machine. Otherwise, I can't use it. So I've got to just set it down past the ramp because it gets hung up. And then once it gets down the bottom, it gets hung up down here too. So,
But that's a frame issue, not an
planning-
extractor or not an uncapper issue.
Right, but it's the wire frame. So if you're doing wired frames, this uncapper is not for you. Just a heads up.
I can't imagine why would do that.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it works. There's a workaround, but it's one of those things you have to decide what you want to do. I mean, what you're looking for. And Bob, aren't you having problems with plastic frames as well?
Yeah, definitely the wood works better. The plastic frames, they're not as long. They're a little bit shorter than the wooden frames, so they don't like to stay in there very good. And they'll slip off the little nipple on the chain.
This is a down the base of this where you can spread the width of this somehow, but I don't know how because it's I'd have to loosen these bolts, these rods, in order to get this to spread, because this is where my hang up, once it falls, I can't get it to go through here, and then when it does, it gets hung up down here. And the problem is I have like 75 or 80 of these. I think there's 80, maybe 82 of them. I can't remember. But I think I'm just going to try to sell them and just go back into plain wood with foundations.
Do you have any trouble in your extractor spinning those frames with the wax foundation? Do you have any blowout?
No, not with these. You're never going to have that with these because I don't know if you can see that on the camera, if you can span that, Bob. There's vertical and horizontal wires in these. This is a true wax foundation, and there's horizontal and vertical wires. Okay. So they're like a tank, but the problem is if you can't get them to go through your equipment, what good are they? Right. I mean, it's different if you're trying to extract 10 of these, but I've got 80, like whatever it is, like I said, 82 supers, 10 frame supers with them.
Wow.
So it's a lot. It's an effort. And like I said, it works. There's a workaround. You just got to drop it in by hand, which it's not ideal, but it works. Takes a little longer, especially when you're talking on YouTube.
Right. That's the.
Yeah, but Bob, didn't you have issues between a deep and a medium frame on yours?
Yeah, you just have to adjust the height of it. So my workaround was I just set it for my deep and didn't reset it for my medium, and then it just crank them through slower, and it worked.
You can also just drop them in this way. The problem is you can't put them in here because they end up like this. Sorry if I'm the camera. If you drop them in directly, just like the last one, if you drop them in, they'll fit. But you got to put them in manually like that.
And
one at a time.
That's a black plastic foundation, or is that wired as well?
Black foundation.
See, I don't have a problem with mine sliding down.
Yeah. The only problem is like when you manually feed them like that, they get hung up sometimes. You got to play with them. It's not fun. So I don't know. It's not ideal. Like I said, I'm going to sell all of my supers this year, I think, and start over from scratch. I'm going to go do the Brad move. Different reasons, but I'm starting over next year with all my foundations.
Mark said he had an idea to fix that. Simple grinder.
Well, yeah. Then the problem is
where should I start, Mark?
See, then the problem becomes now your honey they're using to draw wax.
And then I got another little tip here for you, which
hit the wrong button. Hit the wrong button.
That's a vanishing act. That's not a tip.
That's a big problem. Push that button and disappears.
Well,
he's a ninja.
Here he comes.
There he is.
Wrong button.
That was a neat trick.
I was going to tell you, So I don't know if you guys ever watched Black Mountain Honey. I can't think of the guy's name.
Lawrence.
He's got this method where he's bathing all of his tools, for every hive. He's got a new tool and he soaks it and all that. And you can't get the propolis off your tools for nothing. You can scrub these things and we'll do whatever you want, and the propolis won't come off. But what I found out by accident, basically, is if you take Lysol disinfectant, it will strip it right off instantly. It takes the propolis, everything right off of it. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, but it works like a charm.
Interesting. That might be handy cleaning up in the honey house.
Yeah, it takes the propolis off right now. I took this tool actually to the sink and I was scrubbing on it with Dawn dish soap and everything. Couldn't get it to come clean for nothing. And I sprayed it with that Listerine or Lysol, sorry, and it stripped it down to the bare metal in just seconds. It was incredible. So that's another little fun tip there.
Have to give that a
Have
shot.
to try that.
Yeah, something good to know.
I don't know what's in it.
I just filled my melter right full of water and put a whole whack of washing soda, sodium carbonate, and that seemed to really clean it up pretty good. It started dissolving the muck. Of course, I've been rendering frames, so it's been had slum gum and everything in it, and it's turned up to 95 C right now. I'll cook that overnight, see how it comes out in the morning. But it was cleaning that thing up really nice right away. So there's another. Doesn't seem like it's as good as Lysol, but it's probably a little cheaper too.
But you get that Fabuloso. That Fabuloso will take anything off. That's the Mexican ladies. They'll tell you Fabuloso.
Now, if you've got just propolis on it, you can throw it in a jar with some vodka and make you some tincture out of it.
You betcha.
Another one that you guys are doing the wax melters. So I seen you guys do. Everybody was like Charlie had his wax melter demonstration and stuff, and so I got thinking about it. I took a deep super. And I had some black paint left over from like 20 years ago. I need to be thrown in the trash, but I need to dry it out. So it was happened to be sitting there. I looked at the super. I'm like, got it. So I painted the super black, nailed the board on the bottom of it, and then I found an old piece of glass, set it on top, and then I took. I had been painting, or my wife actually. Let's be honest. My wife was painting the hallway. And she had me run to the store and pick up a couple of paint trays for her. And it hit me when I was there. I picked up 2 extras. I took my grinder and just ripped a slot along the end of the paint tray and took a couple 2x4s in the bottom of the box. So I put one paint tray on the bottom, put a couple 2x4s across it, put another paint tray on top of it. And then all I did was put, in front of that slot, I put some paper towels. And I've already rendered 2 5-gallon buckets through it. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. It cost me $6. So it's a hell of an investment. If you think about the time and the effort you spend, especially if you're trying to boil it. Last year I had 5 or 6 buckets of cappings and stuff that I need to render. And so I boiled them down. It took me 2 full tanks of propane to get like 12 pounds of wax. And if that, maybe 10 pounds of wax. I'm like, this is pointless. I mean, I might as well just go buy the wax for what I'm paying in propane.
Yeah, I was about to say, it ain't worth it. You can just buy the wax for that amount.
Yeah. So
I actually took my pressed cappings that I have in that paint strainer bag. I just took the whole paint strainer bag and everything and set it in there today.
Yeah, so I did that. So that's what I do when I get these cappings out, out of here. I take everything, and I'll back this story up, but whenever I'm extracting, I don't know if you can see that or not, but I just take a 5-gallon bucket and I buy brewer bags, the Harley brew bags, or Hops brew bags. and they come in 5 gallons. It's the same thing as the paint strainers. It's just they're a better quality because they're designed for being boiled in hops. And I put those in my buckets, and then I just drain straight into them, and then I just pull the hops bags out. Once I've used them, I then take all my cappings and shove in them, and then I put the so all my wax cappings from that. Sorry about the camera, guys, but I put all my wax cappings in that filter. Once I'm done with it, that goes into the press, and then that comes out with a disc. I take that disc, but you can't easily put it into the solar melter that way. If you put it in the solar melter that way, the solar melter doesn't get hot enough. My experience, it doesn't get hot enough to thoroughly melt it down inside that bag. If you take the cappings out of the bag and put them in the solar melter, it melts them like right now. So I think the bag almost creates like a insulation or a barrier for the light, and it just doesn't melt it properly. Because I was trying that for the last couple of weeks, and it just wasn't doing the job. I started taking out of the bag yesterday, and it's night and day. I went through, in like just a couple of days, I probably went through an entire bucket.
How big is that bag? How much it'll hold?
Well, these are 6-gallon buckets, so it goes all the way to the bottom and hangs out.
So it'll hold that much.
Oh yeah, they come in 15. Well, I buy 15 or 30 packets. They're I don't know. I had a label here somewhere, but they're pretty big. Like I said, these are 6-gallon buckets, and they go all the way to the bottom and then overhang.
Nice.
So, and they're heavy duty. They're not like the paint strainers. The paint strainer, at least the ones I've seen, the paint strainers are like almost plasticky, and they're thin. You can see through them. Like these, you can see through them if you hold them in the light. But if you look, they're you're not gonna just look through those. I mean, if you get right up on it, maybe. But I do have a paint strainer over here that basically came with this kit I bought because I bought some new strainers this year. But then once I found these things, I'm like, I'm not going back to the strainers. These are so much easier. But what I have been doing is I'm taking these, I'm filling the buckets up, I'm pulling the bag out. I take the bag and I throw it inside my extractor. I let it hang over the rails in here and dry out while I'm not here. And then if you leave them there a few days, they're really dry. I mean, they're completely dry, basically. You're even dry to your touch. And then you can reuse them if you want. But I use my extractor as a funnel. So what I do is I filter them. I filter everything. I get all the chunks out in the initial push. And then I dump the honey back. Once my extractor is clean, I'll dump the honey back through there and I'll let it fine filter. That way it's a big funnel. The only problem with that is there's on this particular unit, which I found out the hard way, it's a clear hole through it. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a hole through the bottom. And if you put too much, more than 2 buckets of honey in there, it comes right out the bottom. So
what micron bags are those?
What's that?
What micron bags are those?
So you can get them in 250s and 300s. Okay, I haven't found anything. I haven't looked for anything bigger, but I haven't seen any.
Brad put this. I'm showing right here: 400, 800, 200, 400. Those lay down here: 55, 75, 150.
So those are a little pricey on that site, Robert. Is that the kind of prices that you're looking at?
I'm paying. I think it was $28 with shipping through Amazon for 15. So,
a little less than $2.
Yeah, not too bad.
That's pretty reasonable.
The finer filters, the 300s, I think those cost me 32, and the 250s I think cost me 28 for 15. But they're food grade versus like the paint filter ones. I'm not sure if they are or aren't. And like I said, I just don't feel the quality's as good because, you know, with these, I'm crushing them in the strainer and everything else. And I don't know, it's like for the money difference, it's worth
Because
it.
I'd use that. I'd use one of those big ones. They've got a great big one. It's a 30-gallon. I'd use that to strain my honey into my melter, because it'll give me a lot of surface area to let the honey come out in a timely fashion.
Yeah.
That's
These
what I'd
things were
use that
great.
for.
And then what I do is,
Yeah.
as I'm processing them, I just stack up my buckets and then I pull the filters out later when I get time. That way it doesn't slow me down for my production. So I've
Yep.
got one down here on my uncapper, and then I've got one on my extractor, and I just let them fill up, and then I just drop the bag down inside, put the cap on, shove it over the side, and then when I get time, I'll lift the bag out straight and drain it out, and then like I said, then I just throw the bag inside of my extractor and let it drain out thoroughly. I did see some guy he took some frames or something, and he had taken those bags and strapped them to the frames, and he spun them out. But I don't know. That seemed like a lot of work. I let time be my friend.
I about to say I wouldn't want to take a chance of damaging my extractor either, though spinning if something got hung up.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, once I pull my bag out like that out of the bucket, I'll get as much of it as I can out, obviously, into the bucket, and then I'll just set that right on that metal mesh that's on the bottom of the uncapping tank.
Yeah.
And just let them drain through there into the uncap, and then I can just open it up, and I'm not. It'll just drain through, heat, because we got enough of that around here to let it run through.
Yeah, we're not nothing like that. I mean, I think we're going to be almost 90 degrees tomorrow. We're like 80 degrees today. But in this room, I have a dehumidifier running, and it's closed off. It's my little clean room, even though, as you guys know, with honey, there's no such thing as a clean room.
Mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable. Matter of fact, next year, I don't know if anybody does that, but I'm thinking about putting like red rosin paper down so I can pick it up. I mean, I can power wash in here, and I did before I started. I power washed, but within a couple days, it looks like a bomb went off in here.
That's what I put down on the floor. I get that red rosin paper out of Home Depot, put that down, and it'll actually.
You're muted, Brad.
He's talking to his wife.
Is it me? Am I on?
Yeah, no, you're on.
Yeah, you're on, Charlie.
You're on, Charlie.
Yeah, anyway, the red rosin will absorb the honey droplets and stuff, but it doesn't get wet and tear and stuff like that. So and then like you say, you just pick it up and throw it in the trash and you're done.
Yeah, I think next year I'm definitely doing that, because in this case, I just built this honey house, whatever, this year. It's not finished. I still got to finish the door and stuff, but it works. But the floor, like I said, I can power wash in here, but it's just too much. Like with all the stuff I've got going on in here, I can't power wash every time I do this. So having some red rosin or something down the floor where I could just pull it up and throw it away or burn it, that would be great. And then I wouldn't have to deal with the mess, because I'm not a big fan of the mess and the stickiness.
So is that a separate? I mean, it looks like to me you're in your basement, or is that in a separate building?
No, this is a 24 by 40 shop, and what I did is it's all block, but I just built in the walls so that way I had some old kitchen cabinets and stuff I put in here, and it's just a 10 by 24 room that I built to put the honey house in. So yeah, it's a work in progress. I got to put the 3 sinks in over here still so I can get certified, but that's next year.
Mm-hmm.
Work in progress. I just had to get something together so I could have a clean space. I tried actually going out and renting a space this year, because in our area I was told that you have to be inspected to be able to sell retail. So I tried renting a place, but every person I talked to, they weren't too enthused about having bees in their facility.
Tell them they'll only be there for a day or two, and they'll leave.
Well, I told them that. I said, all I got to do is open the windows. They'll fly out. I probably could have got a friend of ours. He manages a booth at the fairgrounds. It's one of the pork producers or something. And I was going to talk to them because they're food certified, and you could just open up the booth, right, and let them fly out. And they weren't going to be using it for, a couple weeks or months, I should say, for the county fair. I was going to do that, but I didn't want to have to transport this equipment. So I was like, this year's we're not going to do that this year. This year is going to be an off year, and we'll get certified for next year.
Where are you located? What state?
Ohio.
Ohio.
Yeah,
Okay.
Columbus, Ohio, basically, 45 minutes north.
So is that because you're going to put honey in a retail environment versus honey like selling it out of your back door?
Right. Yeah. If you sell it out of your back door, then you can. If it's in your possession or what's it called? Not consigned. You can do that. But if you want to retail it, then you have to be certified. So I'm getting to the point where if my hives would have produced this year, I would have had 3,200 pounds. So at that point, I'm not selling off the back of my car anymore. I'll take to Bob just so he can sell off back his truck.
I'm gonna have a heck of a time selling everything I got this year. It looks like.
Don't you guys have like a flea market up there?
Yeah. There's flea markets everywhere. The problem I'm having is this year, every flea market has 2 or 3 people selling honey, and they only allow so many people in selling honey. So I'm trying to figure out some way to retail it in a different manner. I've had a couple wineries that approached me actually, but the problem is they want to buy it dirt cheap. And I told them for what they're trying to buy it for, I'm like, you're going to have to either go commercial or to Canada because I can't afford to sell it for the rates that those guys are wanting to buy it for.
Trying to see. I thought I saw a thing on Facebook the other day where somebody in Columbus was selling all of their bee equipment.
You can buy, I don't know what it is in your guys' area, but right now in this area, I can buy a 5-gallon bucket of honey for $275.
It's like $225, $235 here.
Yeah, it's running $225 here.
And that's just, how do you compete against that, right? Unless you want to sell that unless you're just doing bulk. But
some people the guys that I find down here that are doing that, they're not really in the honey business. They're more in the nuke business. And then when they pull their honey off, then they sell it dirt cheap. Matter of fact, I had a guy that sells nukes. He messaged me, hey, you need any honey? No, I don't. Not at the moment. So he'll hold on to it and sell it. He'll probably sell it to, I don't know, beekeeping store or something around here at that price.
Well, the only upside I see to selling wholesale, you're not having to buy all the labels, all the jars. You're not having to spend the time to fill everything. Granted, you are making a little less money, but then you got to factor your time and overhead in too.
Right.
Keep moving around because I'm trying to get signal, and my signal's not great in here.
215 in Mansfield, Randy says.
What's 215?
5-gallon bucket. That's the
that's hard to compete.
Yeah, it's definitely a different model. The difference is you're not having to deal with your honey all year. They might take it all right bam now, and then you don't have to worry about selling it all year long
Yeah. Well, I have struck a deal with the wineries. That's where I'm getting all my buckets from. Is these buckets? They come with they're they're clean buckets because they're 6 gallons, but they come with wine or grape juice in them. But the grape juice comes in a bag. So they pull the grape juice or the bag out, and then the bucket's clean. So it's a food grade bucket, but it's never had anything in it other than a plastic bag.
I want to jump in here, Robert, and I want to thank you for showing me those brew bags. That is going to work in my honey house at some point. I'm going to make some kind of a system that uses those. They're big and they're strong, and they're 400 micron. It's exactly what I want. So, and you can get all kinds of different sizes and whatnot. Yeah, thanks a lot. That's exactly what I've been sort of looking for in my honey house. That'll speed up my extracting remarkably.
I'm actually glad that you guys mentioned that you found them with a higher micron, because the ones I've been buying was 300s, but mostly 250s, but I would like to get some 350s or 400s. That'd be great.
Yeah, I'm seeing 200, 400, 800. They got several different options there. And as far as just filtering wax, I don't see where 800 would be a problem at all.
Oh, not at all. Not for wax. Yeah. I just put another link there, Lee. That site that I put up first, it actually has a reference for this other site as well. And they have that one bag that I just posted. That's kind of what I'm thinking for my extracting system, because it's 400 micron. And boy, that'll come right out of there. That's beautiful.
So, Charlie, you were saying it looks like I was in a basement. One of the reasons why, if you're noticing, all my windows are covered up. I got hit by the local zoning board, or whatever you call it. The neighbors turned me in because they said I had. They said it looked like Bob Walker's place, and I had beehives all over my property. And the ironic part was, I don't have a single hive on this property. I don't have a single colony on this property. So I asked the inspector if he had checked their dog tags, because I told him I label all my bees. They all have tags, so just check them.
I brand all mine.
But the thing is they turned me in because somebody's seen me loading and unloading all the supers in and out of my shop. So it's a small village. There's only 40 houses in this village. So it's amazing that they would complain. But one of the neighbors turned me into the zoning because they said that I had beehives all over my property. And like I said, it just made me laugh because there's not a single hive on this property. And the only way they could have even seen that I had hives or supers in this building is they were looking in my garage while I was loading and unloading, because I never leave the door open. And I cover up the windows so that way people can't look in to see what I've got in here.
Well, you know what you do, Robert, is once you learn who that was, if you got 40 houses in your neighborhood, everybody gets honey for Christmas except that person.
Well, the zoning guy, the irony was
the same thing.
It turns out it's one of my best friends showed up. He seen the swarm trap in the garage, and he recognized the swarm trap because he didn't know I owned the property. But when he showed up, he seen the swarm trap in the garage, and it was in his backyard last week. And so he calls me up at work. He's like, by chance, do you own a property in Fulton? And I'm like, yeah, I do. Why? He's like, yep, I got a call on you. Bee police. But the irony is there's nothing in the ordinance to prevent me from having bees here. The ordinance says large farm animals, basically. Bees are not listed in there.
I will make sure to put a couple of hives on that side of whoever called.
Well, I told my wife, but she shot it down. I was going to go to Staples or something and make a big banner up that says, "Thank you for bringing it to my attention that my property is lacking colonies of bees. I will be rectifying that by installing at least 100 hives or something, just to piss them off.
Set
And
up
then
a
I was
half
gonna
a dozen empty hives, Robert.
Yeah, well, I was going
And
to take
then-
all my supers and just stack them down the side of the yard. And let
That'll
them figure it
draw
out.
your friendly your neighbor out of the weeds and reveal
know
who
who
they
it is.
are.
Yeah.
So
Because
what do you got?
somebody
Like
will
a
complain
like
about
you-
getting stung by a bee, right?
2-acre lot or so?
What's that?
How big's is it like a development? It's what you're in?
No, it's a farm town. So there's I own three lots in this town, or 2 at the front and then 1 in the back. It's like an L shape, and but it's just a residential area. It's not like McNally's where he lives in town or in a subdivision. This is in a small little burg of a town. I mean, it's not even big enough to be a village. There's 40 houses. There's not a stoplight. There's a stop sign at each end of town, and that's it.
Blaine says start mowing your grass with a bee suit on.
Well, I think that's actually what set them off. Is they seen me unloading my supers. When I extracted the other day, I had to do it in a hurry, and or the last time, and I didn't put any escapes on or fume boards. I just shook them out and pulled the honey, and I ended up with quite a bit of bees still in the box. The next morning, I had it on my trailer still, and so yeah, I had my suit on because there's probably 500 or 1,000 bees still in the boxes. But they seen that. I think they just flipped out, called the inspector. But anyway,
somebody got to start something. See, that's why I like where I'm at. I'm in a neighborhood, but we're out in the country, and I mean, you can pretty much do it whatever you want here.
well, I would have said that too. I mean, this is one of the smallest towns you'll ever be in. I mean, there's 40 houses. There's a stop sign at each end, and that's it. There's nothing else. It's in the middle of nowhere.
That
But
shouldn't take long to find out who your friendly neighbor is.
yeah. I think that the sign would have worked out fantastic, but my wife shot it down.
I actually started cleaning my bee yard this past weekend. Thank you very much. Now I need to clean my truck because it's all on the back of my truck.
Yeah, Paul said
I'm
he's
glad
on a
nobody
half
can
acre
see my
lot,
bee yard.
so he just gives honey to all the neighbors on each side of him. Keep them happy.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
I got a half acre
honestly,
also.
that might have been an option before, but now I'm just a little bit not so friendly at this point. Like I'm kind of like, I don't think I want to share my honey with them.
I would have boxes stacked everywhere. They'd be like rows and rows and rows just stacked up where they could see them. They'd be empty probably, in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
But
Well, I honestly, I wanted to do that. I just don't have that spiteful bone in me. I just, one, it's too much effort, but 2,
do you have a homeowners association where you're at?
No way.
I
We're in the
wouldn't
middle
worry
of
about
nowhere.
what anybody said.
That's the
Yeah, I don't have an HOA either, so it's pretty nice. I can have horses, goats, pigs, donkeys, you name it.
Well, gentlemen, thank you for letting me interrupt you. I'm going to get to extracting.
All right, you have a good night, Robert.
Good night.
Hey, Rob. Yeah, we probably only got about another 15 minutes or so.
Yep. What I thought was funny, he said he lives mainly kind of like in a small farm area, farm
See,
town.
they would want that.
But
bees
then
out
somebody's going to complain about something like that. But he lives in a farm area, but you can't have farm animals. He said you can't have
Right.
large farm animals.
Yeah, I have to find that Karen.
There's always this kind of people everywhere.
I don't know. I hate to say it, but I would have to figure out who it is, and hopefully they ain't got cameras and get some of Bob's swarm lure and kind of make a little round around the house.
Right under the porch.
There was a
Just
They
open the
have to
bottle and
call
leave it
you,
there.
right? They have to call you. Hey, that guy. You remember the guy that's got the bees? We'll get him to come take it out. They're like, yeah, I don't have time to
I
get
don't-
that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna leave.
For
I ain't got
$500
time to mess with that.
there was somebody on either Facebook or one of these bee channels where the guy, now it was a development type thing, where he had a camera. He moved in, put 2 hives on the side of his yard, had a camera, and here comes the neighbor over spraying the damn bees.
I saw where I think Don the Fat Bee Man said that somebody came by and sprayed all the. This has been
that happened quite a few years ago.
Up on his property, but he's got them like right up close to the road. Mine, you have to walk into my property to get it, and by the time you get there, you might get a rude awakening.
Well, you got to come through my front driveway. You go past the house, past the big barn, and then they back behind that. So if you go back there and get stung, you're somewhere you shouldn't have been to start with.
Well, that'd be the worst. That'd be the least of their concerns if they if they were on my property in the backyard.
I've got signs up saying caution. Bees are working.
Yep. Well, I got something hanging around my fence on the back side of the property that says caution bees in area or something like that. Big yellow signs.
Caution.
Mine says, please leave us alone. We're working.
But
Trying
yeah,
to
it's
run
just
through the comments, make sure we're not missing nothing.
Well, I saw good old Ricky in there.
Yeah, Ricky was in here.
What?
Oh yeah, Bob. My boss. Basically, I can't show you what he said.
About me?
Yeah.
Well,
because Ray Laney called him today.
Yeah, Ray said he might be going down there.
Yeah, he says, you talked to Bob, that Chris. He goes, I haven't talked to him, but I heard Chris talking to him a couple times. I told him where you're at in sales, and he just flipped me off.
Well, Ray said I was basically beating your whole branch this month.
Yes.
In sales. But yeah, it's been a very unusual month. But it's it's been a good one. Good one so far. So I think I'm at 37,000 so far.
Yeah, that's basically what I thought. I told my boss.
And today I egged, so.
Well, you have those.
Yeah, I had that day today, but I've still quoted some people out. I think it's usually when you see bed bugs in somebody's couch and you show it to them and they're like, oh, how much is it? $1,200. And they're like,
starting.
Let me call you tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then they start calling around all the other companies.
And they'll find out I'm $100 cheaper than everybody else, and then they'll call me back, and I'll come out and spray it.
And you charge them an extra $500
for the second trip.
Yep.
But it's just been one of those crazy months where I'll go to somebody's house and they'll want a quarterly pest control, and they'll have somebody there that's quoting them out to encapsulate their crawl space, and I'm like, oh, we do that kind of work. Oh, you do? Give me a quote. And then I'm not leaving to give her the quote. I'll give her the quote while I'm there, and then she's paying me to turn in, moisture barrier, vents, and insulation in the floor. And the next thing I got the job, and the other guy hadn't even finished his bid yet because he's on the way back to the office to write it up. It's just been kind of crazy like that this month. Yeah, the problem is with bed bugs, you can take that couch out and burn it, but you still have bed bugs.
Yeah, because they're everywhere. If you got them in one spot,
you just haven't seen them in the other spots yet. They're there.
I'm glad that's one thing I've never dealt with. Which I keep everything treated outside and inside. Try to make sure nothing even has a chance to get through the floor or the walls or anything.
Well, usually you'll go to like a restaurant or something, and then you'll pick them
up. Or a hotel or a motel.
And pick them up. And then
they like to hitchhike.
And she's like, well, what about my car? Will my car have them? I said, probably, but it's like 1,000,000 degrees in there, so you'll probably bake them before you realize you got them in there. But
It has to be 145 sustained. So.
Well, it's 145 in this room right now. I'm about to dry out. Charlie, are you having to feed your bees yet, or do they have good stores?
Well, that was some of the things I was doing tonight. My production hives have plenty of food in there from the lanternfly. I went and I was rearranging one of my nukes tonight, and I was looking at that, and there was brood, but there wasn't any laying in there, and I'm like, well, no wonder there's no food in here, no nectar. So I just finished up doing a lot of quart jars for my nukes. So I'm going to have to kind of go through the nukes, or instead of doing that, maybe just go ahead and put a quart jar on each one of them. I'll be starting feeding here probably the week or so after Labor Day. So not that far away.
Well, I've had the open feed out, and they've been crushing that, but it's very, very thin.
As far as he was asking about my fall flow, when the goldenrod starts, you're going to get a lot of nectar coming, or not nectar, but pollen. But as far as any kind of flow, it's minimal. You mean as far as any harvest type flow? No, there's nothing out there.
We would down here some falls. Now this year, looking at all the goldenrod that was growing up, I was thinking we were going to have a real good fall flow, but we hadn't had rain in months. The goldenrod has grown up, but I don't even know if it's going to produce any blooms this year.
Oh,
Well,
mine's in full bloom over here.
Yeah, I checked about 5 of the production hives last week, and they all had, they had the top medium super was full of nectar, and I'm presuming it's partially lanternfly and nectar, which is I leave that in like I did last year. But I just happened to see I went into a nuke, and it was a deep box, and then for some reason I put a medium box on top. And what does that do on there? So I went in there this evening and shook the bees off, and there was a couple brood frames which I gave to some of those other queens that I'm building up right now. And I put a deep box on there, and I could see the frames in the bottom where all the bees were. They had some brood, some cat brood, but I didn't see any fresh eggs. Of course, it was getting pretty dark about that time, but I didn't see any much nectar either. So I threw a part of a quart jar that I had off of another nuke that had food. And so I mixed up, 18 quarts of stuff. I'll get out there, and I figure, well, if anything, just everybody gets a quart of food, and that'll get them by until before the top hive heaters go on.
Michael said he's getting a good flow up there. He's in Vermont.
Yeah, there's still a flow over here. I started collecting supers, and I had to be careful and shake the frames, see if they're dripping.
So you getting any flow out of that strawberry patch area?
No, the hives are too small. I mean, they're growing. There is some honey.
Yeah.
But I'm leaving it to the bees for winter.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I seen your video there when you had put that mated queen in. They dispatched her on your.
Oh yeah, like I at first I put it on the top of the frames, and they weren't sticky. Like like they become like Velcro when they reject her immediately. So I didn't get that reaction. So closed the hive. Came a week later, she was gone. So I did what I said in the video. I just removed because they're connected. So that's why they didn't go drone layer. But my guess is that's why they rejected her. So I removed this hive from the double nuke, set it in a single hive, and moved the queen right hive in the double nuke. There's cells. I checked Saturday. There are cells. So if there's a mated queen, fine. If not, oh well. And
yeah, it's like one of those.
I didn't put it in the video. I didn't film it, but I found another of my hive that just lost everything. There's queen cells, but there's like 5 frames, and I can't really winter a single nuke. I'd have it to at least have a pair. So
Well, I was about to say,
I just dump everything and redistribute the comb. since
Yeah,
there's no.
well, I was about to say, if you got one that's queenless, can you combine it with one of your other colonies?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like
Okay.
dump
Yeah.
like everything and combine the frame with other hives.
That's like those 4 queens that I had on my video there. I looked in one there and it had some cells, looked like some super seeder cells in there. And I pulled it out of there. Yeah, I went and looked at it yesterday because I figured I was going to distribute those frames to the other hives. And I seen some cells. And yesterday I seen one where it had emerged or something. I said, all right, well, there's a virgin. But my question is there enough drones around to even mate with at this point in time? And it's so late.
Oh, my hives are still loaded with drones.
Yeah, around here I don't see a whole lot of drones.
I went in a couple colonies today, and some of the brood that is hatching out, the babies are not getting out of their. They're not hatching out fast enough before the temperature is killing them. They're coming out, and you'll see their proboscis sticking out, and their head, and they just didn't get all the way out, and they like died. I don't know if it's heat or what is.
Or you,
taking some.
Sounds like a poisoning.
yeah, I was about to say they should be able to come
But it's
on
only
out.
some of the new ones coming out. It's not the. I mean, there's bees all over the frames, but the new ones hatching out, it's like they're just dying before they get out of the cell.
Are
I
you
think I
seeing
would.
any other signs in the hive, deformed wing virus or anything like that?
I think I would research on that a little bit more because that what you're describing, I've heard that same scenario. I forget
No
what
dead bees on the ground or anything like that. Just the only thing I could attribute it to was heat, because there's bees and everything walking around. Everything looks good except for some of the ones hatching out are like dying before they can get out of the cell.
And is there any nectar in the frames?
A little bit, but I mean, they don't get fed by the other bees, right? They got to come out and then they go eat and then they come back.
No, what I'm getting, yeah. I don't know.
So
I don't know. Normally, if they'll feed them if they're hungry.
Well, that's what I see. Brian there is about a mite issue, and did you see any pinholes in the brood top capping?
in the cappings, no.
I would research that towards the mite situation.
I'll look at it. But again, that was a quick inspection.
That's what I just found a little article here. Somebody was saying that they were having eggs laid, but the hatching was not as good, and presuming varroa mite infestation and not foul brood.
Well, I saw somebody say the other day that
higher mite count.
If the heat is too high, too, that it'll basically dehydrate them, I guess, for a lack of a better word, that they just die before they can get out. So I don't know what the temperature needs to be, but and I also saw somebody say if it's like 106 for over a certain number of hours, that the mites can't live either. So,
well, if that's the case, they'd all be dead here.
You have to also take
well,
when you're talking.
They had those heater machines.
Effect on your queen. I know that's probably the number one thing when shipping queens long distances that will damage queens is high temperature.
And
Chris don't kill them, but it'll kind of cook all their sperm and whatnot in the queen, so they won't be much good afterward.
Well, it is 10 o'clock. Yeah, it can be. There's Philip coming back.
He had a dead battery. Chris, I mean.
Yeah, Chris's battery died.
Yeah, I'm on the computer now. I was at my mother-in-law's house earlier. Well,
there's James in the chat.
Hey, Brad, I wanted to report back. Last week I was talking about how my combined nukes were, one side was queen right and the other side was not. But I think yesterday I went into one that was a 5x5, and both of them had queens. Both of them were strong. They were sisters, born on the same day. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it. But yeah, I was happy because those are like the only two that are left that I wanted to hopefully become breeders for me next year. They're real gentle.
So
I can't
Alex, with
remember ever
those,
having that problem with my double fives. I had it with the shared tens, but I think
Yep.
those would try and supersede more often than double five because double five would have a young queen.
No, that's what I mean. That you say shared tens. It's a 10 frame with a divider in it. That's what I call a double.
Yeah, no, and so that's what I call a double five.
Okay.
The shared 10 is what
you're talking about the
mean.
chimney thing we were talking about.
Yeah, 2 10s with a stack of tens in the middle.
Right. Yeah.
That's where I had that problem.
I had the same
Sorry,
thing.
Charlie.
It was like, huh? I had that same
We're getting
setup
up.
as what you had, Brad, where you had the two different queens, and they were always going queenless, constantly.
Yeah. Was that
But
in
like Alex, I've
big
heard of it.
like not nukes? Was that in the big colonies or in nukes?
It was this guy come up with this hive, the same principle of yours. It was a hive body box where it had two separate brood chambers, and then you had the tower in the middle, which both of them fed up into the tower, and it just seemed. And I had other people that had the same design hive, and they had the same problems of keeping two queens running. And it's kind of like what Alex is talking about there with that double nuke. I call it a Michael Palmer style nuke. And there was a guy, he was in our club, and he had a 4-way mating box. And he made the statement where sometimes, some of the queens didn't get mated or they tore the cells down. And another member in the club said, well, in his observation hive, there was multiple queen cells. And as soon as the one queen started piping in the cell, the bees went just crazy, and the worker bees did. And they went and they ran and they chewed out the other cells and stung them. They all talk about the queen doing it. It seems like the worker bees are doing that.
Interesting.
And he said, he says, if the queen is in, let's say you have a 4-compartment box there, if one of them starts piping and other bees can hear that in them other compartments, maybe they think they're going to have a queen coming in and they dispatch those cells that's in those hives. So I don't know.
Hey, Charlie, I witnessed that. I was doing a video, and it was just a regular inspection video.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked and I said, wait a minute, there's queen cells on that frame. So I ran back out there and was going to make a split because this was in a perfect time of year to make splits. Right. And when I pulled it open, the worker bees were chewing all those cells down. I don't know if they may have been stung already, and those queens weren't fully developed. They were still white color. So yeah, I witnessed that personally. I was like, oh, I'm too late.
But in it, Brad, you got those 3 ways that you usually you sometimes have a problem with the queens in the middle box or something like that.
I wouldn't say that. I think I probably have, but it's not been something that I would say that I have a problem with because it's not common in my experience. I haven't used them forever. I've been using them for quite a few years. But no, I've not had that issue where I would say that it's a problem. I'm sure it happens, but
I really think my problem was that they, when we hit the dearth and one side's a little weaker than the other, they just got overrun. I think that's the case in mine. So, and these two that I saw that were fine, one of them was stronger than the other, and it was it was filling the frames up in the shared honey stupor. But both queens were fine. Both were laying. So.
And that's Ian shook his finger at me and said, that doesn't work everywhere. Different climate zones. So I've got to caveat that too.
I think had I split them right after the honey flow or right at the end of the honey flow, I would have been fine on most of them. But I didn't, went a month before I started looking at them. So.
Yeah, Russ. Well, I wouldn't say that. We've got about 6 weeks of flow out of the year.
Busy time for those 6 weeks, though, huh?
We don't have that gap, right?
Yeah, it's all one.
As the climate, I think gets a colder climate, a little more northern climate, that gap closes and closes. And in our situation, that gap is closed. There's no gap. So we go from dandelions to goldenrod.
Yeah.
In 3 months.
Dandelions, goldenrod, and snow, huh?
Yeah, it's dandelions, goldenrod, or snow. That's our flow.
So, Alex, with those double nukes, are you doing that because of winter, as far as trying to keep them warm enough for sharing the heat?
No, I use them as resource hives.
So when winter,
like Palmer does, I have them make brood for other hives.
Mm-hmm. So do you shut them down, come wintertime then?
I treat them the same as the other one. As soon as the the other ones are ready for winter, it's the same for them. There's basically no difference except I collect brood from them.
Yeah, but they will make it through the winter with you insulating them and all that.
Oh yeah, I insulate them, and they winter pretty well. Since there's two hives, right, one next to the other, they share heat. And something like I haven't had problems with this type of hive before, so my guess is it only becomes a problem if one of the queen dies.
Well, I don't know. I thought about buying them boxes or trying them out, but I never did. I just kept with my single nukes, and
I've got one of them that I'd bought, and I mean it seemed to work pretty good. The only problem that I had is if you have one side dies out, you got to pull all the comb out of it. You could leave the empty box there, but you got to pull the comb out so that you don't get wax moth or anything else in there to keep the other side going.
well, that's what I got to thinking about, and I'm like, okay, how are you gonna go in and work the one side it needs, like you say, cleaning out or whatever? You can't just take that box and dump it upside down and dump the trash out of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the bottom box is solid like that, but once you stack on top, instead of it being a 5-frame box, it's actually a 4-frame box that stacks on top.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it has its own 4-frame inner cover.
Yeah,
too.
but I'm talking about the bottom.
Yeah, the bottom you can't just turn over like that. The rest of it
because you got another hive running there on next door to us. So that's why I never bought them. So
Yeah,
I got them.
Charlie, that's exactly why I sold mine. That exact thing. And I'd get some. I had 40 of these things that I made, and I used them a long time, and they did a lot of work for me. But I'd run into all that kind of stuff like you were just talking about, Charlie. And I'd come into late summer, and you'd go through them, and you'd realize you've got 10 of them that have queenless on one side, and so now I can't just put one beside another. I have to start transferring another colony into that side, and I have to relocate a colony to get it into that side because I need to prep them for winter, and I'm not going to be putting a lot of empty spots in my building, so I have to have 2 in each one.
So,
and you'd always end up with an odd number, so you're always going to end up with. So I just you know what, I don't like multiple compartment equipment.
So y'all's boxes didn't have a removable divider? It had a permanent divider? Mine has removable divider.
The one that I had was permanent.
Mine's removable.
Well, either way, but if you've got a nuke in one side, then you may not want to.
Well,
you may want to keep it a nuke, so you're going to have an empty space, and you still can't turn it upside down and dump it out. kind of thing.
Yeah, and I don't have the issue like you do, having to get them ready for winter like that. But I have the option of either pulling the divider out and letting them move over and use those combs or protect them or whatever, or I can pull all those combs out if I need to and leave it empty.
Right. Yeah. Removable divider. That's nice. I know a guy that does that. It works well for him. I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna go. So I kept Lee. You were talking about the 4-frame box on top. I kept all the 4-frame boxes, and that's my mating nukes now. My little 4-frame mating nukes, and I
That'd be
just put a
nice.
screen bottom and some feet on those, and it's a standalone box now.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like off to the left, my left there. My nukes are right next to my barn, so it has a wind block, so I don't have to, wrap them or do anything like that. And they survive fine. So
The only thing we would have to wrap down here is in the summertime, put something white on them to keep them cool.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Bob, it's been just over 2 hours. You about ready?
Oh yeah, I could render wax right here at my desk.
Why, is your AC broke?
Oh, it don't matter. It's not going to keep up with the heat.
It was nice here today, low humidity and 75 degrees.
I hate you.
I'm looking at 93 with
we're
109 index right now.
We're going through a cool phase, they say, for the next week or so.
Right now it's 85 degrees, but it feels like 91 right now in the dark.
I think the next 3 days,
Charlie, everybody was saying how hot it was. And I was saying, well, today driving home in the truck, it was 68 degrees out, and I had the AC on high the whole way.
Really?
Yeah.
I might have to.
I took a load of firewood this morning, and it was, it's like turn the air conditioner off, roll the truck window down, and oh man, this is nice,
Makes me want to move to the mountains.
Then move back in the wintertime.
I had the back seat right full of freshly packed creamed honey, so I wanted the place to be as cool as possible. I was in shorts and a t-shirt, AC on high, 68 degrees outside, Fahrenheit, and I was getting a little chilly, but all for the good of the honey.
Well, like it was Saturday here, the humidity had changed, and it was a real kind of a breezy wind was up, blowing pretty darn good. And I was standing in, you might say, in the shade of the sun, and on the next to the building, it was chilly. Got, with shorts on. Then, of course, you stepped out into the sun. It was warm. It was fine. So,
Brad, you got your shorts and your T-shirt back from the cleaners, I see.
Yeah, back from the cleaners. Oh, man. I splattered slum gum and wax all over myself the other day.
Brad had a video, one of his very few videos, where he's wearing like the full get up, all the PPE.
Oh, my jacket! I had to put my jacket on because that one hive was beating
commented
me up.
about the bees, and my comment to him was, "What, was your T-shirt and shorts at the cleaners?"
That's like my bees out there, man. They were bearding and all out. And of course, it's starting to get a little bit cool this evening. They were the one I was watching, this one nuke, and for some reason, they are up along the corner of the boxes, hanging there and along down on the bottom with a beard. But I'm like, oh, it must be getting cooler because I want that line of bees. They're all back inside. And then you can go look at them across the entrances. You can see them hanging down on those frames and stuff in there. Hey, Rhonda.
Well,
how hot is it in Florida?
It's meltable. What was it, Arizona or somewhere they were showing where this the damn street lights were melting. It was so hot. The plastic that's on them and stuff was just melting down.
Too much.
I guess Todd, he lives close to Fresno, is it, out there in California?
Yeah,
I don't think he got all the weather that everybody else got.
Well, so Lee, I just saw a weather report. It's that Ryan Hall that I like to watch. He says that this winter, because of the El Nino effect in the Pacific, we're going to have a much cooler than normal winter in the south, and you guys up in Canada are going to have a much warmer than normal winter, from the basically middle of Canada all the way to the west.
What's that mean? -5 instead of -10?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I got on news feed
-5.
today. Bundle up, Texas. It's going to be a miserable cold winter.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. He was saying that all that moisture coming across from Mexico through there this winter is going to.
I found James's honey extractor. It's an 84 frame day dance for 4,500 US.
That ain't
Radio
bad
oil.
when you figure 84
deal.
frames. Hell, my 20 frame that I got right now is like $2,900.
I'd have to knock a wall down on my shed to bring it in.
Another one?
I just put it on hinges, so the whole thing, you can just push the whole damn wall down and bring it in, and then pull the wall back up. Wax pans under the hive entrance this morning. Just collect the wax right out of the front of the colony. It's gonna drip.
Every hive is a wax melter.
Rhonda said 118 heat index last Saturday. Dang.
Yikes.
But yeah, I'm about to have to run. I got to get up between 3 and 3:15 in the morning.
Oof.
Holy.
Yeah.
Be up
Hopefully
late, man.
tomorrow's the last day at this place, and then I'm going back to my regular plant.
Oh, I need this in my life.
Get some rest, man.
All right, guys. Well, let's go ahead and end the stream for tonight, and we'll see you guys later on this week.
Y'all have a good evening.
Have a
Good night, everybody.
Right.